His voice was as loud as a thunderclap. His voice was as loud as a clap of thunder. The singer was criticized for the piracy of his new song. The singer was condemned for the piracy of his new song. Exploitation of child labor has been prohibited. The exploitation of child labor has been banned. Human cloning is deeply related to bioethics. Human cloning is profoundly connected to bioethics. We are a company that customizes kitchen appliances. We are a company that specializes in customizing kitchen appliances. He received a car as an accolade for his victory. He was awarded a car as a recognition for his victory. He was suspected of suspicion for deceiving people. He was suspected of deceiving people. The researcher in the laboratory experimented with the new drug on white rats. The researcher in the laboratory conducted experiments with the new drug on white rats. She volunteered at an orphanage on Sunday. She volunteered at an orphanage every Sunday. I can compose my website however I want. I can design my website however I wish. I have ambivalent feelings about him. Sometimes I like him, sometimes I don't. I have mixed feelings about him. Sometimes I like him, sometimes I don't. She accommodated the friend who visited after a long time. She welcomed the friend who visited after a long time. His advice dispelled the illusion I had about studying abroad. His advice cleared up the misconceptions I had about studying abroad. He is a government employee working for a government organization. He is a civil servant working for a government agency. His claim has no theoretical basis at all. His claim is entirely without theoretical foundation. There is a lot of speculation about her private life. There is much speculation about her personal life. He mobilized the army to suppress the riot. He deployed the army to quell the riot. I hit the opponent's card hard to flip it. I struck the opponent's card hard to flip it. He became disabled in his left leg due to a car accident. He became incapacitated in his left leg due to a car accident. The nobleman's son caused a major social scandal. The nobleman's son triggered a significant social scandal. The massive meteor fell to the ground with a thud. The colossal meteor crashed to the ground with a thud. The candidate received fervent support from the voters. The candidate received enthusiastic support from the voters. Drinking green tea is said to have beneficial effects. Drinking green tea is believed to have positive effects. The door to my room is transparent, so everything inside is visible. The door to my room is clear, so everything inside is visible. I received an immunization vaccination for disease prevention. I received an immunization shot for disease prevention. Due to low birth rates, South Korea's population is diminishing. Due to low birth rates, South Korea's population is shrinking. Nongyup applied a hallmark to apples that met the quality standards. Nongyup marked apples that met the quality standards with a hallmark. Her presbyopia made the text in the book look blurry. Her presbyopia caused the text in the book to appear blurred. Japan's historical distortion is a deplorable issue. Japan's historical distortion is a regrettable issue. He aligned the sentences of the presentation to the left. He aligned the sentences of the presentation to the left side. From an ethical standpoint, he deserves to be criticized. From an ethical perspective, he deserves to be criticized. I escaped my mundane life and went on an exciting trip. I escaped my monotonous life and went on an exciting trip. He was criticized for abandoning his pet dog. He was condemned for abandoning his pet dog. Objects like metals, which are inanimate, are everywhere. Objects such as metals, which are inanimate, are ubiquitous. He reiterated what he said yesterday again today. He repeated what he said yesterday again today. Helping those in need is a righteous action. Helping those in need is a virtuous action. The patient was in critical condition, on the verge of death. The patient was in critical condition, on the brink of death. She has the aspiration to become a corporate CEO. She has the ambition to become a corporate CEO. The total donation amount from this year's charity kettle was insignificant. The total donation from this year's charity kettle was minimal. Many Jews died in Germany due to persecution. Many Jews perished in Germany due to persecution. The massive meteor fell to the ground with a thud. The colossal meteor crashed to the ground with a thud. The candidate received fervent support from the voters. The candidate received enthusiastic support from the voters. Drinking green tea is said to have beneficial effects. Drinking green tea is believed to have positive effects. The door to my room is transparent, so everything inside is visible. The door to my room is clear, so everything inside is visible. I received an immunization vaccination for disease prevention. I received an immunization shot for disease prevention. Due to low birth rates, South Korea's population is diminishing. Due to low birth rates, South Korea's population is shrinking. Nongyup applied a hallmark to apples that met the quality standards. Nongyup marked apples that met the quality standards with a hallmark. Her presbyopia made the text in the book look blurry. Her presbyopia caused the text in the book to appear blurred. Japan's historical distortion is a deplorable issue. Japan's historical distortion is a regrettable issue. He aligned the sentences of the presentation to the left. He aligned the sentences of the presentation to the left side. From an ethical standpoint, he deserves to be criticized. From an ethical perspective, he deserves to be criticized. I escaped my mundane life and went on an exciting trip. I escaped my monotonous life and went on an exciting trip. He was criticized for abandoning his pet dog. He was condemned for abandoning his pet dog. Objects like metals, which are inanimate, are everywhere. Objects such as metals, which are inanimate, are ubiquitous. He reiterated what he said yesterday again today. He repeated what he said yesterday again today. Helping those in need is a righteous action. Helping those in need is a virtuous action. The patient was in critical condition, on the verge of death. The patient was in critical condition, on the brink of death. She has the aspiration to become a corporate CEO. She has the ambition to become a corporate CEO. The total donation amount from this year's charity kettle was insignificant. The total donation from this year's charity kettle was minimal. Many Jews died in Germany due to persecution. Many Jews perished in Germany due to persecution. Flu inoculation is performed when winter arrives. Flu vaccination is given when winter arrives. She started frantically searching through the pile of leaves. She began frantically searching through the heap of leaves. He couldn't readily obtain the materials needed for the experiment. He couldn't easily acquire the materials needed for the experiment. In poetry, understanding the literal meaning is less important than the hidden meaning. In poetry, understanding the metaphorical meaning is more important than the literal meaning. The devil tempted Adam and Eve with an appealing apple. The devil enticed Adam and Eve with an alluring apple. The window is opaque, so the interior cannot be seen. The window is frosted, so the interior cannot be seen. The housing problem has become serious due to urbanization. The housing issue has worsened due to urbanization. He eventually gave up on the marathon halfway. He ultimately gave up on the marathon halfway. She bled profuse blood during the surgery. She lost a lot of blood during the surgery. Sandy is a genius, proficient in both English and German. Sandy is a genius, fluent in both English and German. He interlocked his arms and passed by me. He crossed his arms and walked past me. Our battery's performance outlasted the competitor's battery. Our battery's performance lasted longer than the competitor's. The pirate ship's flag was hanging from the ship's mast. The pirate ship's flag was flying from the ship's mast. She succeeded solely through her sheer effort. She succeeded solely through her hard work. My grandfather's burial took place in the National Cemetery. My grandfather's funeral took place in the National Cemetery. After stepping on her foot by mistake, she gave me a sharp glare. After accidentally stepping on her foot, she gave me a fierce glare. She wore a sophisticated design dress. She wore a stylishly designed dress. He transferred a precise amount of money to me. He transferred an exact amount of money to me. There were dozens of competitors trying to defeat her. There were many competitors trying to defeat her. The meaning of this word in the sentence was ambiguous. The meaning of this word in the sentence was unclear. She enticed the children with candy. She tempted the children with candy. Kinetic energy is the energy generated by movement. Kinetic energy is the energy produced by motion. Use your valuable time constructively. Use your precious time productively. The odds of winning the match were 5-1 in our favor. The odds of winning the match were 5-1 in our favor. We applauded the basketball player who scored the basket. We cheered for the basketball player who scored the basket. We played the game of Go to remove the boredom. We played Go to alleviate the boredom. Many trucks conveyed sand to the construction site. Many trucks transported sand to the construction site. The general's designation of him as the commander of the unit was announced. The general's appointment of him as the commander of the unit was announced. The suspect refused the court summons without any reason. The suspect rejected the court summons without any explanation. He overcame untold hardships when he was young. He overcame unimaginable hardships when he was young. This desk is made from durable wood, making it sturdy. This desk is made of durable wood, which makes it sturdy. She has a great passion for drawing. She has a deep passion for drawing. Consumers will realize the utility of the tool. Consumers will recognize the usefulness of the tool. The electricity was cut off due to the unpaid bill. The electricity was disconnected due to the unpaid bill. In the summer, you should apply a UV blocker and go outside. In the summer, you should apply a sunscreen and go outside. The couple was satisfied with their rural lifestyle after retirement. The couple was content with their rural lifestyle after retirement. The rhythm of that song is a haunting rhythm for me throughout my life. The tempo of that tune has been a constant, unsettling echo for me throughout my existence. China still maintains a system of communism. China continues to uphold a system of communism. The teacher reprimanded the student who was talking during class. The instructor scolded the student who was speaking during the class. Korea boasts an integrated bus system. Korea prides itself on having an integrated transportation system. The man sitting next to me smelled so bad that he was hateful. The man sitting beside me emitted such a foul odor that he became unbearable. It is said that laughing loudly can relieve stress. It is believed that loud laughter can alleviate stress. I measured the dissolution rate of chemicals in chemistry class. I assessed the dissolution rate of substances in the chemistry laboratory. The Joseon dynasty lasted for 500 years. The Joseon dynasty endured for 5 centuries. File names need modification to be in English. The file names require alteration to be in English. The prescribed medicine was very effective for rhinitis. The medication prescribed proved to be highly effective for rhinitis. This camera transmits the recorded video to YouTube. This camera sends the captured video to YouTube. She has a strong detestation for her ex-boyfriend. She harbors an intense aversion to her former boyfriend. People initially undervalued Picasso's works. Initially, people underestimated the value of Picasso's works. Believers glorify their God in writing. Devotees exalt their deity through written expression. The prisoners received 1 hour of remedial education each day. The inmates were provided 1 hour of remedial education every day. Namsu was a courageous man who stood up against injustice. Namsu was a brave man who stood firm against injustice. Rainbows form when light is refracted by water droplets. Rainbows appear when light is bent by water droplets. I found decisive evidence to prove his crime. I uncovered compelling evidence to substantiate his crime. My younger brother adjusted to military life right away. My younger brother adapted to military life immediately. The flu patient infected other patients with the flu. The influenza patient transmitted the flu to other patients. The friar went to the monastery to fetch food. The friar journeyed to the monastery in order to gather provisions. She uses an unlimited data plan. She subscribes to an unrestricted data plan. I am drinking water after clarification at home. I am consuming water after clarifying things at home. She released the turtle caught in the net back into the sea. She set free the turtle caught in the net and returned it to the ocean. The bank robber engaged in collusion to rob the bank. The bank robber conspired to rob the bank. I was apologetic for accidentally breaking the cup. I expressed regret for inadvertently breaking the cup. She was fostering 5 children on her own. She was raising 5 children by herself. Soldiers must show obedience to their commanding officer's orders. Soldiers are required to demonstrate obedience to their commanding officer's directives. This competition was an opportunity to showcase the excellence of Taekwondo. This contest provided an opportunity to highlight the superiority of Taekwondo. The witness refused to testify in court. The witness declined to provide testimony in court. The clerk gave me a filthy cup of water, so I left without drinking. The clerk handed me a dirty cup of water, so I departed without drinking. The bread bag was tied with a flexible wire. The bread bag was secured with a pliable wire. The roadwork has almost reached completion after 10 years of construction. The roadwork is nearing completion after a decade of construction. I received an email notification asking me to authenticate. I got an email notification requesting me to verify my identity. When I speak with an American, I ask the interpreter for help. When conversing with an American, I ask the interpreter for assistance. Meeting my ex-girlfriend was a coincidence. Running into my ex-girlfriend was purely coincidental. The singer's arrogance grew after gaining popularity. The singer's arrogance increased as his popularity soared. He was held back for having insufficient school attendance. He was penalized for having inadequate school attendance. The location I mentioned was incorporated into the travel itinerary. The place I referred to was included in the travel itinerary. The novel ended with a completely predictable conclusion. The novel concluded with an entirely foreseeable ending. The faith of Christians wavered due to the emperor's persecution. The faith of Christians faltered due to the emperor's persecution. There are myriads of stars in the sky that can't be counted. The sky is filled with countless stars that defy counting. It took several days to compile the data gathered until today. It required several days to organize the data collected up until now. Parasites are insects that live off a host. Parasites are organisms that depend on a host for survival. Disposable cups are a representative example of the throwaway culture. Disposable cups are a typical symbol of the disposable culture. The wallpaper has an elliptical geometric pattern. The wallpaper features an elliptical geometric design. It was a consequent murder caused by the hatred between the two people. It was a subsequent murder triggered by the animosity between the two. Parental approval is necessary to go on the trip. Parental consent is required to participate in the trip. He received favorable feedback from the interviewers. He received positive feedback from the interviewers. Pippi Longstocking had many freckles on her face. Pippi Longstocking had numerous freckles scattered across her face. The owner scolded the inattentive waiter in front of the guests. The owner reprimanded the inattentive waiter in front of the guests. He observed the stars in the sky through a telescope. He examined the stars in the sky through a telescope. I told the other company my business proposition. I presented my business proposal to the other company. This document is a comprehensive guide about Japan. This document serves as an all-encompassing guide to Japan. The single mother placed her baby in an adoption facility. The single mother placed her child in an adoption center. She is quick at performing calculations in addition and subtraction. She is quick at performing addition and subtraction calculations. Native languages are acquired through imitative training. Native languages are learned through imitation-based training. What's important in finding a job is the requisite experience. The key to finding a job is the necessary experience. I reduced my intake of carbohydrates to lose body fat. I lowered my carbohydrate intake to reduce body fat. His problem solving was quick due to his analytical ability. His ability to solve problems quickly stemmed from his analytical skills. Mom made chicken broth on a hot summer day. My mother prepared chicken broth on a scorching summer day. The coach explained the torturous training process for the competition. The coach described the grueling training regimen for the competition. The mice squeaked loudly from the ceiling all night. The mice squealed loudly from the ceiling throughout the night. In the center of the forest, there was a stagnant pond. In the heart of the forest, there was a still pond. A flock of crows flying around was a bad omen. A group of crows circling around was an ill omen. We basically had similar opinions. We essentially had the same views. He decided to terminate the rental contract. He opted to cancel the rental agreement. Father did not condone his son's lie. Father did not tolerate his son's falsehood. Luffy thought everything was overly optimistic. Luffy believed everything was excessively optimistic. My grandfather was martyred in the combat at Bongodong. My grandfather was martyred during the battle at Bongodong. He is a grad who graduated from Harvard University 2 years ago. He is a graduate who completed his studies at Harvard University 2 years ago. The boxer lost consciousness after getting hit in the face. The boxer fainted after being struck in the face. She is more nimble than others when working. She is more agile than others while working. A ripe apple fell from the tree on its own. A ripe apple dropped from the tree by itself. My friend flicked water at me as a joke. My friend splashed water at me in jest. I told the child to be wary of strangers. I advised the child to be cautious around strangers. The concept of rebirth is frequently used in Christianity. The concept of reincarnation is often employed in Christianity. I couldn't bear the suspense in the horror movie. I couldn't withstand the tension in the horror film. Oil and coal can be considered finite resources. Oil and coal are regarded as limited resources. I do my work with a handheld laptop. I perform my work using a portable laptop. Korea follows the capitalist ideology. Korea adheres to the principles of capitalist ideology. The company became insolvent after failing in business. The company went bankrupt after failing in business. The city dweller misconceived the rural way of life. The urbanite misunderstood the rural lifestyle. Chicken meat has less fat but is high in protein. Chicken meat contains less fat but is rich in protein. She looked forlorn while eating alone. She appeared desolate while eating alone. He is a gifted singer but didn't practice. He is a talented singer but failed to practice. Participation in the competition is open to anyone, regardless of age. Participation in the competition is available to all, irrespective of age. I felt disgust toward him, who easily deceives others. I felt revulsion toward him, as he easily deceives others. He established a hypothesis that there is life in the universe. He proposed a hypothesis that life exists in the universe. The independence activist fought for the liberation of his people. The independence fighter struggled for the freedom of his people. The linguist studied children's language acquisition. The linguist researched children's language development. A spacecraft was launched for marine exploration. A spacecraft was launched for ocean exploration. She relished walking the circumference trail. She enjoyed walking the perimeter trail. A report came in that the husband was mistreating his wife. A report arrived stating that the husband was abusing his wife. The postman is a conveyor who delivers mail. The postman is a messenger who delivers letters. The boa kills its prey through constriction with its body. The boa kills its prey by constricting it with its body. Reportedly, the couple broke up earlier this year. It is reported that the couple broke up earlier this year. The parrot on the tree flapped its wings to take off into the sky. The parrot perched on the tree flapped its wings to soar into the sky. The pastor officiated the funeral of the saint. The pastor conducted the funeral service for the saint. This SF series was pre-produced as a trilogy. This science fiction series was pre-produced as a trilogy. Hulk has incredible strength. Hulk possesses immense strength. He decided to withdraw from the association. He chose to resign from the association. I have now accustomed myself to a regular lifestyle. I have now adapted myself to a structured lifestyle. Children tend to acquire language quickly. Children tend to learn language rapidly. Peter was one of Jesus' 12 disciples. Peter was one of the 12 apostles of Jesus. She wears a waterproof watch when swimming. She wears a water-resistant watch while swimming. The bank's executive reviewed the loan application. The bank's executive examined the loan request. A studio with the best facilities has been furnished and opened. A studio with the finest facilities has been set up and opened. She played soft music for a restful sleep. She played soothing music to promote restful sleep. The second attempt also ended in likewise failure. The second attempt also resulted in a similar failure. Lily mashed the potatoes for the salad. Lily mashed the potatoes for the salad preparation. I gave complimentary words to him for his good work. I offered complimentary words to him for his excellent work. His story was so ridiculous that it was implausible. His story was so absurd that it seemed implausible. Many trucks are traversing the Han River Bridge. Numerous trucks are crossing the Han River Bridge. There are two definite advantages to using this machine. There are two clear benefits to using this machine. The new deep fryer has many pragmatic features. The new deep fryer includes many practical features. Fans gathered at Gwanghwamun to mob and cheer for the soccer game. Fans congregated at Gwanghwamun to cheer and support the soccer game. When you become complacent, you resist change. When you become complacent, you reject change. The enemy made me choose between submission and death. The enemy forced me to choose between surrender and death. Aristotle was a philosopher who studied philosophy. Aristotle was a philosopher who studied the nature of philosophy. The joint electricity bill was shared by the tenants. The shared electricity bill was divided among the tenants. He took a larger portion of the profits than I did. He took a bigger share of the profits than I did. Talking during class was an indispensable action. Speaking during class was an essential action. 100 people participated in the marathon. 100 people joined the marathon. She had stage fright, causing her to stutter. She experienced stage fright, making her stutter. The student listened mute while the teacher was explaining. The student listened in silence while the teacher was explaining. After the rainwater seeped into the basement. After the rainwater infiltrated the basement. She walked alone down the eerie, dark alley. She walked alone down the spooky, dark alley. The government reclaimed wilderness and distributed it to farmers. The government restored wilderness and allocated it to farmers. Tolstoy was a humanist who respected humanity. Tolstoy was a humanist who valued humanity. Migratory birds migrate to different places depending on the season. Migratory birds travel to different places depending on the season. Introverts are mostly reluctant to attend parties. Introverts are generally hesitant to attend parties. He stooped to pick up the trash on the street. He bent down to pick up the litter on the street. I saw a jazz ensemble at the Arts Center. I saw a jazz band at the Arts Center. My parents profoundly influenced me. My parents deeply impacted me. He used hedges to separate the garden from the road. He used hedges to divide the garden from the road. She has a disability in her leg due to a congenital defect. She has a leg disability due to a congenital defect. The shop has done very well since its commencement. The shop has prospered greatly since its opening. He is suffering from insomnia due to psychological issues. He is experiencing insomnia due to psychological problems. After the game, he looked at me with a weary stare. After the game, he gazed at me with tired eyes. The famous actor's interview was featured on the newspaper coverage. The famous actor's interview was highlighted in the newspaper coverage. We handle agricultural machinery like tractors. We manage agricultural machinery such as tractors. He couldn't move well due to an injury in his spinal area. He couldn't move properly due to an injury in his spine. She left a negative review on the online article. She posted a negative review on the online article. He admired the grandeur of the Greek-era buildings. He marveled at the magnificence of the Greek-era buildings. The boss was very scornful towards the new employee. The boss was very disdainful towards the new employee. The judge declared a short recess for review. The judge announced a brief recess for review. The British sovereign visited Spain on a state visit. The British monarch visited Spain on an official state visit. Fans were shocked by the actor's revelation about their private life. Fans were stunned by the actor's revelation about his private life. I majored in climatology, the study of climate. I specialized in climatology, the study of climate. I felt hostility towards her, who had despised me. I felt animosity towards her, who had looked down on me. A great leader instilled a sense of challenge in the members. A great leader instilled a spirit of challenge in the members. He collapsed on the floor and lay motionless for a moment. He collapsed on the floor and remained motionless for a moment. The broadcast contained content that was provocative for children. The broadcast included content that was provocative for children. She and I have an aunt-nephew kinship relationship. She and I share an aunt-nephew familial bond. The newspaper article was full of groundless content. The newspaper article was filled with baseless content. Despite the cold weather, we went outside to play. Despite the chilly weather, we went outside to play. The man gave his girlfriend a dazzling gold ring as a gift. The man gave his girlfriend a sparkling gold ring as a present. I signed up for life insurance last week. I enrolled in life insurance last week. Nowadays, many tend to regard pets as family. Today, many people tend to treat pets as family members. I finally discovered the imaginary island of El Dorado. I eventually discovered the mythical island of El Dorado. He applied shoe polish to bring out the gloss of his shoes. He used shoe polish to enhance the shine of his shoes. She had to update the inventory in the warehouse every month. She had to update the stock in the warehouse every month. The wild boar got caught in a snare and couldn't escape. The wild boar was trapped in a snare and couldn't escape. I objected to the injustice of the promotion at the company. I opposed the unfair promotion at the company. Before riding, the jockey put a curb in the horse's mouth. Before riding, the jockey placed a curb in the horse's mouth. He had a pasty face after hearing the shocking news. He had a pale face after hearing the shocking news. Even a fortune teller cannot foretell their own future. Even a fortune teller cannot predict their own future. Koreans have strong antagonism towards Japan. Koreans hold strong hostility towards Japan. After fixing the bicycle chain, my hands were all greasy. After fixing the bicycle chain, my hands were covered in grease. We decided to do a fasting today for our diet. We decided to fast today as part of our diet. Talking back to adults is an impertinent action. Talking back to adults is a rude action. I calculated the toll as I exited the highway entrance. I calculated the toll as I exited the highway. Presumptuous as he was, he interfered with what I was doing. Arrogant as he was, he interfered with what I was doing. Parker sneaked behind Thanos and approached him. Parker crept behind Thanos and approached him. Ben has a gregarious personality and gets along well with people. Ben has an outgoing personality and gets along well with others. I took her remark as a joke. I took her comment as a joke. Every winter, the flu is a pandemic disease. Every winter, the flu becomes a widespread disease. If I have a complaint, I speak directly to my boss. If I have a complaint, I address it directly to my boss. A vehement protest broke out after the government's announcement. A strong protest erupted after the government's announcement. The dictator's dream was to dominate the world. The dictator harbored the ambition of exerting control over the entire world. The terrorists persecuted women and children. The terrorists relentlessly oppressed women and children. Subcultural fashion may become popular in the future. Subcultural fashion could emerge as a prominent trend in the future. A stranger abducted the child for money. A stranger forcibly abducted the child for financial gain. In the future, we will be able to drive autonomous cars. In the coming years, we will have the ability to operate autonomous vehicles. Delicious bananas are being grown in tropics. Exquisite bananas are being cultivated in the tropical regions. I have resolved to quit smoking this year. I have firmly resolved to cease smoking this year. She was a temporary teacher instead of the homeroom teacher. She served as a substitute teacher in place of the homeroom teacher. The slaves ran away because of the owner's barbarous actions. The slaves fled due to the owner's brutal and inhumane actions. The internet enabled me to find information. The internet granted me the ability to access a vast array of information. The blade was too blunt to cut the meat. The blade was too dull to sever the meat. The counterfeiters counterfeited 10,001 bills. The counterfeiters forged counterfeit 10,001 bills. This product will drastically reduce fuel costs. This product will significantly lower fuel expenditure. Israel and Palestine have declared a ceasefire. Israel and Palestine have officially announced a ceasefire. The number of divorcees suddenly increased after the holiday. The number of divorcees surged dramatically after the holiday. The alligator is lurking in the swamp, waiting for its prey. The alligator is lurking in the swamp, patiently awaiting its prey. The book was thick. Nonetheless, it was not boring at all. The book was voluminous. However, it was far from tedious. Mom went to the aquarium with her child to see whales. Mom took her child to the aquarium to observe the whales. His name will be remembered for eternity. His name will be immortalized for eternity. She has a really spicy disposition. She possesses an intensely fiery temperament. The whaler threw a harpoon at the whale. The whaler hurled a harpoon at the whale. All matter transfers energy through conduction. All matter transmits energy via conduction. The restaurant has great taste and is moderately crowded, so I visit often. The restaurant boasts excellent taste and is moderately busy, so I frequent it often. His altruistic life for the less fortunate is admirable. His selfless life for the less fortunate is commendable. My preference is for a seat by the window. I prefer a seat by the window. He read a romance novel and became sentimental. He read a romance novel and grew sentimental. To enter, please fill out the registration card. To enter, kindly complete the registration form. He opposed my suggestion without any reason. He rejected my suggestion without any justification. This morning, the commuter bus became overcrowded. This morning, the commuter bus became excessively crowded. The prices of agricultural products have variations depending on the supply. The prices of agricultural goods fluctuate depending on the supply. Workers demanded a wage increase from the boss. The workers requested a salary increase from the boss. Our professor is a knowledgeable legal scholar in constitutional law. Our professor is a distinguished legal scholar specializing in constitutional law. The angel gave the child a benevolent smile. The angel bestowed a kind smile upon the child. He was caught replicating someone else's paper. He was caught plagiarizing someone else's work. He is so stubborn that he doesn't listen to others. He is so obstinate that he refuses to heed others. My plan is progressing marvelously. My plan is advancing splendidly. She placed the snacks in a concave bowl. She placed the snacks in a hollow bowl. My offer to help was met with a rebuff from her. My offer to assist was rejected with a sharp refusal from her. Hyundai Beach was teeming with people who came to enjoy. Hyundai Beach was crowded with people who came to relish the day. The church considered her a heretic and exiled her. The church deemed her a heretic and cast her out. Her unexpected confession perplexed the viewers. Her unforeseen confession confused the viewers. The thought that she is a spy is preposterous. The idea that she is a spy is absurd. The sky god engraved the 10 Commandments on stone. The sky god inscribed the 10 Commandments on stone. He couldn't work freely because of a meddlesome friend. He couldn't work freely due to an intrusive friend. He received congratulations from his peers after winning the competition. He received felicitations from his peers after winning the competition. The nationwide cherry blossoms herald the arrival of spring. The nationwide cherry blossoms signal the arrival of spring. The floodgates were opened and water was released due to dam water level control. The floodgates were opened and water was discharged due to dam water level regulation. He lived a wanderer's life, going from place to place. He led a nomadic life, traveling from place to place. He gave clear and succinct answers to all my questions. He provided clear and concise answers to all my inquiries. She narrated her European travel stories with great interest. She recounted her European travel stories with great enthusiasm. The fee was the inclusive amount, including the service charge. The fee was the all-inclusive amount, which included the service charge. Our troops sent an ultimatum to the enemy to surrender. Our forces issued an ultimatum to the enemy to surrender. The requirement for all nationwide stores was to supply new products. The mandate for all nationwide stores was to provide new products. The actress walked on the carpet in an ornate dress. The actress walked across the carpet in an elaborately adorned dress. Even as a native speaker, he sometimes makes grammatical mistakes. Even as a native speaker, he occasionally makes grammatical errors. Employees must undergo ethical training once a month. Employees are required to undergo ethical training once a month. His salary increment is scheduled to take place in September. His salary increase is slated to occur in September. The United States promised to toughen its relationship with South Korea. The United States committed to strengthening its relationship with South Korea. This novel was originally published in English. This novel was initially published in English. We listened to Handel's sublime music at the theater. We listened to Handel's majestic music at the theater. I gave my seat on the bus to a pregnant woman as a concession. I offered my seat to a pregnant woman on the bus as a gesture of concession. He was an outlaw who committed murder and has been on the run for 10 years. He was a fugitive who committed murder and had been evading capture for 10 years. Our house has a convex roof. Our house features a curved roof. My magnificent car made my friends jealous. My splendid car caused my friends to envy me. The movie I saw today was a truly frightening horror film. The film I watched today was an intensely terrifying horror movie. Tom really made an exertion to get good grades. Tom made a considerable effort to achieve good grades. We all stood up in unison from our seats. We all stood up together in unison from our seats. The housewife dumped the food waste into the trash can. The housewife discarded the food waste into the garbage bin. He has no faith in him because he repeatedly broke promises. He has lost trust in him because he consistently broke promises. He has a great ardor for music. He has a deep passion for music. Cumberbatch encountered his friend by chance on the street. Cumberbatch happened upon his friend by chance on the street. He was a disgrace to his family after committing a bad deed. He became a shame to his family after committing an immoral act. You can feel his deep sensibility through his work. You can sense his profound sensitivity through his work. We had the virtual monopoly on the game. We had an effective monopoly on the game. This restaurant uses rice bowls made of brass. This restaurant employs rice bowls crafted from brass. The preface of the book clearly reflects the author's philosophy. The preface of the book unmistakably conveys the author's philosophy. She was uncaring and selfish towards the children. She was indifferent and selfish towards the children. In the feudal system, the lord distributed territories to his vassals. In the feudal system, the lord allocated land to his vassals. He detests bathing and smells as a result. He abhors bathing and consequently smells unpleasant. He reported that I infringed on copyrights. He informed that I violated copyright laws. The Supreme Court overturned his conviction for murder. The Supreme Court reversed his conviction for murder. I was stressed by the perpetual noise from the factory. I was stressed by the incessant noise from the factory. As we live, we come to realize the importance of health. As we live, we gradually come to appreciate the significance of health. This restaurant is famous for its distinctive royal cuisine. This restaurant is renowned for its unique royal cuisine. The enemy's carpet bombing devastated the entire village. The enemy's carpet bombing destroyed the entire village. The goddess of fortune raised our team's spirits. The goddess of fortune lifted our team's spirits. The conductor presented a masterful performance to the audience. The conductor delivered a brilliant performance to the audience. My son is prone to motion sickness whenever he gets in a car. My son is susceptible to motion sickness whenever he rides in a car. I am disposed to teach him English. I am inclined to teach him English. The nurse found a vein on the back of my hand and gave the injection. The nurse located a vein on the back of my hand and administered the injection. The software was incompatible with other devices. The software was not compatible with other devices. This incident has undermined our trust. This incident has weakened our trust. Due to the Middle East crisis, countless refugees left their countries. Due to the Middle East crisis, innumerable refugees fled their countries. He showed a receptive attitude toward new things. He exhibited an open-minded attitude towards new ideas. The logs in the fireplace crackled and burned brightly. The logs in the fireplace crackled and blazed brightly. He revenged those who tormented his family. He avenged those who tormented his family. She drank medicinal herbal tea for her insomnia. She consumed medicinal herbal tea to alleviate her insomnia. Many young people have applied for recruitment at large corporations. Numerous young people have applied for positions at large corporations. His room is always messy due to his indolence. His room is consistently untidy due to his laziness. A baby's skin is delicate and should be handled carefully. A baby's skin is fragile and should be treated with care. The poet wrote many verses with rhythm. The poet composed numerous verses with rhythm. Betraying your friend is a contemptible act. Betraying your friend is a despicable act. She thinks being a doctor is a rewarding profession. She believes that being a doctor is a fulfilling profession. Chicago is one of the metropolises in the United States. Chicago is one of the major metropolises in the United States. Alcoholics often suffer from liver disease. Alcoholics frequently suffer from liver diseases. He found a permanent job, not a temporary one. He secured a permanent position, not a temporary one. The author sent part of the manuscript to a famous publisher. The author submitted part of the manuscript to a renowned publisher. Taking a shower is part of his daily routine. Taking a shower is a regular part of his daily routine. A young boy is wailing on the street after losing his mother. A young boy is crying on the street after losing his mother. Through archaeology, we can learn about the lives of ancient people. Through archaeology, we can uncover the lives of ancient civilizations. He had an expression of amazement when he saw the sea for the first time. He had a look of astonishment when he saw the sea for the first time. John's sales performance this month was woeful. John's sales performance this month was dreadful. I meet my friends periodically once a month. I meet my friends regularly once a month. A child's mischief with fire can lead to a large fire. A child's mischief with fire can result in a devastating fire. She became so engaged in her work that she neglected her family. She became so absorbed in her work that she overlooked her family. My parents were elated about my college acceptance. My parents were overjoyed about my college acceptance. His words have an important implication. His words carry significant implications. We confronted an unexpected problem. We faced an unforeseen problem. The dancers perfectly maintained symmetry in their movements. The dancers flawlessly maintained symmetry in their movements. South Korea has made a remarkable economic development in the world. South Korea has achieved remarkable economic progress globally. She saw a stranger with astonishment. She gazed at a stranger with amazement. Our store is undercutting the competitors' prices by 5%. Our store is offering prices 5% lower than our competitors. I left my stained pants at the dry cleaner. I left my soiled pants at the dry cleaners. The company saw a rise in sales due to its transaction with a large corporation. The company experienced an increase in sales thanks to its deal with a large corporation. The government initiated the search for the missing persons. The government began the search for the missing individuals. The terrorist made the purchase of biological weapons with stealth. The terrorist covertly purchased biological weapons. The archaeologist deciphered ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. The archaeologist translated ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. He lives in an affluent area filled with large houses. He resides in a prosperous area filled with large homes. The human body is the result of aggregation of cells. The human body is the result of the aggregation of cells. Taking medication can normalize high blood pressure. Taking medication can regulate high blood pressure. Today, visibility is poor due to rain and fog, making visibility difficult. Today, visibility is impaired due to rain and fog, making it hard to see. She is disdainful of people who use drugs. She is contemptuous of people who use drugs. The police peeped through the keyhole into the room. The police glanced through the keyhole into the room. Before purchasing, I checked to see if there were any visible issues with the product. Before buying, I inspected the product for any visible defects. He played an inconsiderable role in this event. He played a minor role in this event. Newton made a major breakthrough in the scientific community. Newton made a groundbreaking discovery in the scientific community. The priest preached about loving thy neighbor in the service. The priest preached about loving thy neighbor during the service. The equator divides the Earth into the northern and southern hemispheres. The equator divides the Earth into the northern and southern hemispheres. There is still contention about the necessity of the death penalty. There is ongoing debate regarding the necessity of the death penalty. The commander summoned the resting soldiers back to the unit. The commander called the resting soldiers back to the unit. The diameter of this special basketball is about 1 meter. The diameter of this special basketball measures approximately 1 meter. This place is famous as a fishery where a lot of fish are caught. This place is renowned as a fishery where many fish are caught. There seems to be a complex issue between the two people. There appears to be a complicated issue between the two individuals. I put a 501 coin into the slot to start the game. I inserted a 501 coin into the slot to begin the game. We generally dislike didactic advice. We typically dislike preachy advice. Factory wastewater severely tainted the water source. Factory wastewater severely contaminated the water source. Most fast food is processed food. Most fast food consists of processed food. In life, money is extrinsic and happiness is the essence. In life, money is external while happiness is the essence. Humans fail to utilize even half of their potential abilities. Humans fail to harness even half of their potential abilities. The metaphor of the glass ceiling represents a barrier. The metaphor of the glass ceiling symbolizes a barrier. A food scarcity led to a fight among friends. A food shortage caused a conflict among friends. The motif on our wallpaper is based on flowers. The motif on our wallpaper is inspired by flowers. The police used various tactics to apprehend the criminal. The police employed various strategies to capture the criminal. The upcoming era is said to be led by the Fourth Industrial Revolution. The forthcoming era is expected to be driven by the Fourth Industrial Revolution. She cried bitterly after breaking up with her boyfriend. She wept bitterly after breaking up with her boyfriend. The professor received great esteem from the students. The professor earned great respect from the students. He greatly exaggerated his achievements. He inflated his accomplishments significantly. We successfully negotiated conflicting opinions. We successfully resolved conflicting opinions. Today's weather is agreeably warm, perfect for going outside. Today's weather is pleasantly warm, ideal for going outside. KT provides telephony services. KT offers telecommunication services. She is a true workaholic, even working on holidays. She is a genuine workaholic, working even on holidays. My butler guided the guests to the party hall. My butler escorted the guests to the party hall. The mistake of the clerical staff resulted in the wrong schedule being communicated. The error made by the clerical staff led to the wrong schedule being communicated. I learned how to overcome hardships through endurance. I learned how to overcome difficulties through perseverance. Our baby is currently sleeping in the nursery. Our baby is currently resting in the nursery. The flu became prevalent nationwide, causing chaos. The flu became widespread nationwide, leading to chaos. Due to the recession, many people experienced financial hardship. Due to the recession, many people faced financial difficulties. He is looking for new employment after losing his job. He is seeking new employment after losing his job. I clarified that the foregoing opinion is just my personal view. I made it clear that the aforementioned opinion is simply my personal view. I eat the crust of the bread after cutting it off. I eat the crust of the bread after cutting it off. The company recruited a large number of new employees this year. The company hired a significant number of new employees this year. I went to Busan via Daejeon. I traveled to Busan via Daejeon. The museum displayed impressionist works like those of Van Gogh. The museum exhibited impressionist works similar to those of Van Gogh. The company went into insolvency because it couldn't repay the bank debt. The company went bankrupt because it couldn't repay the bank debt. People evacuated when a fire broke out in the building. People fled when a fire broke out in the building. Namely, eating at night is not good for health. Specifically, eating at night is detrimental to health. The unemployment rate among unemployed youth has increased. The unemployment rate among young job seekers has risen. The expected arrival time of the flight is 2 p.m. The anticipated arrival time of the flight is 2 p.m. Failure is an unavoidable process in achieving success. Failure is an inevitable part of achieving success. She donated rice to the nursing home with her donation. She donated rice to the nursing home as part of her donation. He provided crucial information in catching the criminal. He supplied vital information in apprehending the criminal. Frequent drinking can impair your liver. Regular drinking can damage your liver. I plan to languish in France for 2 months this time. I plan to spend 2 months in France, relaxing this time. Missing the train was an inauspicious start. Missing the train was an unfortunate beginning. The criminal confessed willingly out of desperation. The criminal admitted freely out of desperation. I found the equivalent Korean word for this English word. I found the corresponding Korean word for this English term. The criminal's brutality frightened people. The criminal's savagery terrified people. The lines A, B, and CD intersect at point E. The lines A, B, and CD meet at point E. I clung to her, but she remained unmoved. I held on to her, but she stayed indifferent. Confucius preached about politics to his disciples. Confucius taught his disciples about politics. His strong belief in superstitions is an anachronism. His strong belief in superstitions is outdated. Our team is cohesive and full of energy. Our team is united and full of vigor. She apologized in a monotonous tone. She apologized in a flat tone. The sharp rise in vegetable prices was a transient problem. The sharp rise in vegetable prices was a temporary issue. He had a foreboding feeling that he would fail the exam. He had a premonition that he would fail the exam. The company created a new brochure for the new products. The company designed a new brochure for the new products. You should not be impudent towards adults. You should not be disrespectful towards adults. I crushed the box to reduce its volume and then threw it away. I flattened the box to reduce its size and then discarded it. The players propelled the boat by rowing. The players powered the boat by rowing. The police officer mused about the suspect's alibi. The police officer pondered the suspect's alibi. Outdoor play invigorates young children. Outdoor play energizes young children. My father has many responsibilities as the prop of the family. My father has many duties as the backbone of the family. A four-leaf clover is known as a token of luck. A four-leaf clover is regarded as a symbol of good fortune. His absence from the meeting was a manifestation of his resignation. His absence from the meeting was a clear indication of his resignation. Luffy is an easygoing person, even amidst hardships. Luffy is a laid-back person, even in the face of adversity. The hunter decided to use the hut in the forest as lodging. The hunter chose to use the hut in the forest for accommodation. The speaker received enthusiastic applause from the audience. The speaker received a warm round of applause from the audience. Introspection is often necessary for personal growth. Introspection is often essential for personal development. He hit the golf ball with a lousy posture. He struck the golf ball with poor posture. The rich despised the poor and kept their distance. The rich looked down on the poor and kept their distance. School rules apply to all students without exception. School rules apply to all students without exception. I work for a literary magazine that introduces poems. I work for a literary magazine that features poems. Mary was deeply lamenting the death of her close friend. Mary was grieving deeply over the death of her close friend. The smoker was looking for an ashtray to dust off the ashes. The smoker was searching for an ashtray to remove the ashes. She intruded into my private life without permission. She trespassed into my private life without permission. The important thing in the lecture is the content, not the formality. The essential aspect of the lecture is the content, not the formality. I construed your answer as a sign of agreement. I interpreted your answer as a sign of agreement. The monk used a rake to clean the fallen leaves in the yard. The monk used a rake to gather the fallen leaves in the yard. The meal between the two people was an attempt at reconciliation. The meal between the two people was an effort at reconciliation. Tom reclaimed the World Boxing Champion title. Tom regained the World Boxing Championship title.